Greetings fellow snowflakes, and welcome to the third part of What Gender Is Not. I recommend you watch the first two parts if you haven't already. They were about clothing and stereotypes. This time I'm talking about biological sex. Some people decide that the only aspect of gender that is objectively real is biological sex, and so that must be the sole defining factor of what someone's gender is. I will start by saying that I completely understand and sympathise with this approach, because it does on the surface seem to make the most rational sense, and it was the definition I worked off when I was younger. I know, surprising, right? There is an observable difference between human beings, that some of them have penis and testicles, while others have wombs, ovaries and vaginas. Because the other aspects of gender are social roles, stereotypes and clothing rules, all of which are socially constructed and culturally specific, the only sense that you could realistically and rationally use words like man and woman to mean anything in particular is to use them to refer to a person's biological sex. However, a deeper understanding of transgender issues, and indeed the complexities and surprising facts about biological sex itself, does reveal some problems with this approach. Biological sex is real, there's no doubt about it. Some people have penises, some people have vaginas, some people have testicles, some people have a womb and ovaries, some people have a lot of testosterone in their body, others have a lot of estrogen in their bodies. These are undeniable facts of anatomy. But another undeniable fact is that some people have a medically recognised condition that seems to mean that something deep inside them that they cannot change is telling them that their anatomical sex should be opposite to what it actually is. This results in body dysphoria and oftentimes sexual dysfunction too. For example, whether fat, skinny, or God please no, muscular, I would still dislike my male body shape. And I know this because I have been both skinny and maybe not fat, but at the very least chubby, during my lifetime. Plus, I have the instinctive reaction of, please God, no, anything but that, with regards to the mere thought of being muscular and athletic in the male sense. On the other hand, I wear a bra under my clothes, and suddenly I look exactly how I should look in my own eyes. So clearly, I would benefit from a female shape and female breasts. Hormones for me. Also, I have extreme sexual dysfunction that only seems to go away if I put myself into a situation where I feel like I've got a vagina and I'm being penetrated, even if the exact opposite is what's really happening. The only way I can explain this is my penis thinks it's a vagina, or my brain expects me to have a vagina. It's physical dysphoria. It's a medically recognised condition, and the treatment for it is to transition with hormones and possibly with surgery too. If you think about it, it's insane that we would define someone based on their anatomy alone anyway, especially in any kind of way that impacts on their experience socially. We have minds and hearts too. We are not simply bodies. And to reduce people to their genitals and reproductive organs seems gross and objectifying in the extreme. I am more than my cock, for fuck's sake. And every woman I've been in a relationship with so far was also much more than her vagina. I'm not erasing other trans girls, by the way. It just so happens that I've yet to be in a relationship with another trans woman, so all my girlfriends have been cis so far. Besides, even if you insist on defining people by their anatomy, it's still kind of hard to be transphobic without being very illogical about it. If you define it by anatomy, especially by genitals, and even gonads, then I'm afraid that you've admitted that physical transition constitutes a transformation of gender. If penis equals man and vagina equals woman, then remove the penis and you no longer have a man. Give that person a vagina and you now have a woman. And vice versa with trans men. Define it as gonads and you still have the case that when the gonads are removed then somehow you have altered the gender, even though there is obviously no corresponding opposite gonad being introduced to the body. With womb transplants becoming possible, does that now mean trans women are women post-op even by the most rigidly physical of definitions? You want to insist on chromosomes? The main problem with this is that there are intersex conditions such as complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. You can scream at me that intersex people are anomalies and not a separate sex as much as you want, but there's still no getting away from the fact that defining men in terms of XY chromosomes means that, like it or not, there are some XY individuals that are born with a vagina, so you would be forced to say some men are born with a vagina anyway, even if you are not referring to trans men when you say that. And the anatomy you had at birth is too convoluted and anti-logical to be a rational option, I'm afraid. Do we say butterflies are really caterpillars? Black holes are really stars? Doesn't matter what something used to be. The definition you use to classify someone as male or female is the definition you are using, full stop. Never mind what used to be true. Besides, the funny thing about all of this is that men and women aren't even all that different physically to begin with. Women, and I mean women born with vaginas, do also have testosterone in their bodies. And men, by which I mean men born with penises, do also have estrogen in their bodies. It's just that testicle owners have a lot more testosterone and ovary owners have a lot more estrogen. But both sexes have both sets of hormones, just in different amounts. And the same tissue is used to create the different gonads and genitals. A penis is like a large clitoris with a urethra in it. Labia is made of the same skin tissue as the scrotum in males. Gonads develop into either ovaries or testicles. Unfortunately, you can't transform one kind of gonad into the other, though. The development is kind of permanent. Wow, one's a woman, ovaries. Really, none of this should be surprising. We are not separate species. We are the same species. We basically are made of the same kind of stuff, just rearranged slightly differently. Which is why male-bodied people have nipples, and in rare circumstances can even lactate. With so much more similarity than difference between men and women, even when it comes to anatomical sex, you can't help but wonder why we should make such a fuss about who gets to be called by which words and pronouns anyway. Get a life, people. Talking of words, it might trigger the anti-feminists and right-wing hypocrites, but I can certainly see some of the validity of the degendering of biology. I like to say anatomical sex, by the way, not biological sex. The reason? Well, if there is any kind of difference in the brain that might explain the medical condition that makes you feel like you should be the opposite sex, then it would also count as biological sex. I mean, the brain is biological too, and any gender difference in it would also count as part of your physical sex. If you strictly want to talk about the genitals and reproductive organs, then anatomical sex seems more accurate to me. But should we call our anatomy male or female? Surely the same argument as with clothes could apply here too. If I'm a woman, then my body is a woman's body, even if I do have a penis. If we tend to use female and male interchangeably with woman and man in our everyday conversation, then it could also make sense to say, I'm a woman, therefore my body is female. I've even said it myself with regards to trying to explain my physical dysphoria as it relates to my genitals. My penis thinks it's a vagina, I've said. She's made it very clear that she is female. Hooray! I have a female penis. Or perhaps I should call it my clitoris. Many trans women do, especially when enjoying sexy times with someone. The ability to reclaim your body, to use language creatively when referring to it, is so empowering for transgender people, especially when it comes to sex, which is often when we feel most sensitive about our physical shortcomings. Being gendered appropriately in the bedroom, both in terms of how your partners refer to you as a person, or how you or they refer to your body parts, can really make all the difference between anxiety, discomfort and sexual dysfunction on the one hand, and complete excitement, satisfaction and orgasm on the other hand. So who cares about being a stickler for traditional conventions of slapping gendered labels on our anatomy? Why not play with it and be creative, especially when it comes to sex? I know it triggers right-wingers whenever people use language in a less than literal way, but body autonomy is so important. It's your body. Your mind and personality should not be reduced to it or limited by it if it's going to impact negatively on your quality of life. And yes, you can change it if you want. I mean, it's your body. Why not? And no one should insist on defining or limiting you based on their narrow-minded opinion about which aspect of your person counts as the most real or socially relevant and what things you can or can't change about yourself. Fuck that. It's your life. You do you. Maybe one day we'll live in a society where your biology only really matters when it comes to medical or reproductive matters, and the rest of the time, whether you have a penis or a vagina, really doesn't affect anything at all. That would be a better world, I think. So if it's not biology that defines our gender, and it's certainly not clothing or rigid, outdated stereotypes, then I guess that only leaves one thing: the social roles and categories of man and woman themselves. Which is what I'll look at in the fourth and final part of What Gender Is Not. Until then, thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe if you want, and remember, we're all different, we're all special. Snowflakes unite.